Hi there, this is Noah with the Training and Marketing Department. This is going to be the second video in our ERS Intro series, ERS Intermediate. In this training, we're going to be covering packages, add-ons and upselling, service areas, travel fees, taxes, deposits, and document editing. I want to encourage you to like and subscribe to the ERS YouTube channel, which you can do by clicking on the ERS logo in the lower right-hand corner of this video, so you never miss out on any updates. All right, so I've got an order open here on the front end. I've added a giant slide to my order. I'm going to use this suggested add-on to add a snow cone machine to my order. And then I'm going to use this required add-on to add some snow cone syrup to my order. And then I'm going to see the same suggested add-on. So let's optimize this a little bit, because in a real-life scenario, if you're taking a phone order or something like that, of course you're not going to suggest to somebody that they add a snow cone machine to their cart when they just did so. So we can create as many add-ons as we want and attach them strategically to different items to, again, really strategically upsell and maximize our ticket sizes. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into the back end, and I'm going to go to Admin, Products, Items. And I'm going to use this search field to narrow down what I'm looking at to only items that have the word snow cone in them. So we can see that the regular snow cone syrup items are free. There's nothing in that cost field. And they're in the hidden category. So that means they're not going to show up in the store. And basically the only time that these snow cone syrup items are intended to be added to somebody's order is if they got a snow cone machine. Then they're added through the snow cone flavor required add-on. So I'd like to upsell additional snow cone syrup. But of course, the additional syrups are not going to be free. I want to charge $20 a piece for them. And also, the additional ones I do want to actually be in the store. I want to put those additional ones in the concessions and add-ons category so that when people are browsing that category, they can add additional snow cone syrup to their order. However, it's all the same snow cone syrup. I need to make sure that I'm drawing from the same inventory, whether it was free or cost $20. So that's where packages comes in. Packages enable me to sell or rent items in multiple different forms, in multiple different combinations, but make sure that I'm still managing the availability of those items and avoiding double bookings. So to create the packages that I need, I'm going to start by making a copy. This little yellow and blue icon is the copy icon. And it's going to save me time to use that copy feature because a bunch of the information about the item is going to be auto-filled already in here. Now, one of the most important things about creating a copy is you always want to look for the words creating copy up here at the top. Because if I clicked near that yellow and blue button but not on it, then I might have actually clicked into the original item, and if I start to make edits in here, then I'm actually editing the original item. Now, the other important thing about creating copies is you always want to make sure to edit this name field. You never want two items to have the same name, or two categories, or two add-ons, or two cities, or whatever. It's okay if you have an item that has the same name as a category, or a category that has the same name as an add-on, but you never want two things in the system that are the same type of thing to have the same name. That can cause problems. So I'm going to go ahead and add the word additional in here, and that's going to be what it says in the back end. I'm going to use a special display name to have it say cherry snow cone syrup on the front end for my customers. Now the next thing I'm going to do is edit that cost field because, again, these ones aren't going to be free. These are going to cost 20 bucks. Next, I'm going to go ahead and make this a package item. Now pay attention to that quantity field and see what happens when I make this item a package item. The quantity field went away and was replaced with a contents field. So we're going to tell the system, okay, what are the contents of this package? This package is going to have 1 cherry snow cone syrup. So the reason the quantity field disappeared is because with packages, the system is managing the availability based on the contents of the package. In other words, if the items that make up this package are available, then this package is available. That's how it makes sure to manage the availability of your inventory correctly. Now the other edits I need to make here are I need to switch this from the hidden category to the concessions and add-ons category. And I need to go down to display to customer and choose yes. Now the reason that the regular snow cone syrup items are set to display to customer no is because I don't want them to show up in the search results when people do an inventory search on the front end. Putting the items in the hidden category ensures that they won't show up in the store, but they'll still show up in an inventory search unless you set that display to customer to no. So all right, I've made the edits I need to make. I'm going to go ahead and submit my changes here. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the grape and lemon lime snow cone syrup items. Once again, I'm confirming that I see the words creating copy there. And then I'm going to change out the word cherry for the word grape. Going to change out the contents of the package. And I'm going to change out the picture. And I know that the item that I copied was in the concessions and add-ons category and set to display to customer yes, so I don't need to edit those fields. Going to go ahead and submit my changes. And then I'm going to do one more time for the people. Once again, I'm confirming that it says creating copy right there. And again, I'm changing out grape for lemon lime. And I'm changing out the contents of the package and the picture. And by the way, if the picture that I need is not here in my folder already, I can just use this Choose File button to upload a picture from my computer. And heads up that if you want to upload a bunch of pictures to a given part of your ERS folder, you can use a zip file for that. All right, I'm choosing that lemon lime picture, and I'm submitting my changes. And now I've got the items in my folder that I need in order to create the add-on. So I need to go ahead and create the add-on. So I'm going to go to Admin, Products, Add-ons. Going to add new. I'm going to call this Additional Snow Cone Flavors. Going to add some customer-facing text in here. Then I'm going to go ahead and use this Add More button because I need 5 spots. 3 for the snow cone syrups and 1 each for the tables and chairs. Going to add the items that I just made along with the tables and chairs. Whoops, I meant to put the tables first. Anytime I need to reorder things, I can use these little white and blue cross icons. I just go ahead and click on that icon and drag it to where I want it to go. And that little black bar right there tells me where I'm moving it. All right, so now I've got my add-on. I'm going to go ahead and submit. And then I'm going to go back to Admin, Products, Items. And I need to go ahead and assign the add-on that I just made as a suggested add-on. Now, the suggested add-on that is going to display in the cart at any given time is going to be the suggested add-on that is attached to the last item that was added to the order. And the last item that was added to the order was not the snow cone machine. It was the snow cone syrup. Because remember, the snow cone machine gave us that required add-on that made us choose from one of the snow cone syrup items. So I need to go ahead and assign that suggested add-on to the regular snow cone syrup items that are in the required add-on. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to spreadsheet mode because I'm going to make edits to a bunch of different items here. And spreadsheet mode enables me to make those edits from this page and save time. So I'm clicking into that suggested add-ons field for the regular snow cone syrup items, and I'm assigning the additional snow cone flavors add-on to each of them. So now that I've made that change, I can come back into the front end, refresh the page, and there's the new add-on that we just created. So I encourage you to go ahead and create as many add-ons as you need to optimize your upselling and sort of simulate the way that you upsell when you're talking with somebody over the phone. Maximize those ticket sizes. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you want to offer an item for a different price than its normal price, you don't need to do packages. If the only difference is the cost, then you can use the cost field here under Admin Products Add-ons. So these cost fields right here enable you to put a special price for the item in the add-on, and so the customer can add the item for that cost rather than whatever the original cost of the item is to their order. So again, if the cost is the only thing that's different about how you're offering it, then you don't need to create a package item. You can just use the cost field here. The reason I had to create packages for my additional snow cone syrups is because the cost wasn't the only difference. I wanted to put them in a different category and set them to display to customer yes. Now, packages are a super important part of the ERS system because, again, they enable you to sell or rent items in multiple different forms, in multiple different combinations, while still managing the availability of your inventory and avoiding double bookings. So I'm going to go ahead and exit my search so that I can demonstrate for you some of the more common use cases of packages. In order to do that, I'm going to reorganize this page by clicking on the category heading to group everything together by that heading. So now all of my bounce house items are together, concessions and add-ons, etc. So you can see in my bounce houses that I've got a modular bounce house, and it's a regular item, and then I've got several package items that package that bounce house together with banners. So for example, this happy birthday bounce house is a modular bounce house plus a birthday banner. The pirate bounce house is a modular bounce house plus the pirate banner. The princess bounce house is the modular bounce house plus the princess banner. So this is a common use case of packages. You want to make sure that once you run out of those modular bounce houses, that all of those items that need the modular bounce house show up as unavailable on your website. Or once you run out of the princess banners, now the princess bounce house needs to show up as unavailable on your website. Now, another common use case for packages is wet-dry slides. So oftentimes people will have a slide that can be rented either wet or dry. So we can see that I've got my giant slide in here, and it is a wet-dry slide, but I only have the dry version in here. So let's go ahead and create a package version of it to be rented as a water slide. So I'm going to go back into browse mode, and I'm going to go ahead and add a water hose to my inventory to package with that giant slide. So let's call this item 50-foot garden hose. No cost, it's just going to be a hidden item. Going to say I've got 5 of them. Not going to bother with a picture because, again, it's going to be a hidden item. Going to assign it to the hidden category, and I don't want it to show up when people search inventory in my website, so I'm going to set it to display to customer no. And I'm good to go. I'm going to go ahead and submit my changes here. I'm going to go back to the front end. I'm going to check out the Inflatable Slides web page so that I can monitor my edits as I'm making them. We can see as of now, all we have in there is the giant slide, and it's unavailable because I only have one of them in inventory, and it's already in this order. So now I'm going to go back into the back end, and once again, I am going to start with a copy of the dry slide. Once again, I'm looking for those words creating copy, and I see them, so I know I'm good to go here. I'm going to change the name of the item to 22-foot water slide. Let's go ahead and say this one's going to rent for $350. We're going to make it a package item, and this particular package is going to have 2 items. It's going to have the giant slide, one of them, and a garden hose, again, one of them. Now, in a real-life scenario, I would probably change out the picture and put a picture of this item set up as a water slide, right, with happy kids and stuff in there, you know, good marketing juju. And I would probably update the description text as well. Keep in mind, if you are a Pro Plus or above customer, you can use our AI assistant to help you write description text for the web page for an item. But again, this item is in the inflatable slides category, which is fine. I'm going to leave it there. And all the rest of this information is good. So I'm going to go ahead and submit my changes. And then I'm going to go back into the inflatable slides category on the front end and refresh the screen. And we should see the water slide. Yep, there it is. Now, another thing we can do with packages is we can create specials. So for example, if we want to package together a bounce house and tables and chairs and a concession machine for a special price, we can do that. So let's go ahead and go through that. So let's go ahead and call this the Happy Birthday Special. Let's make it a package item. Let's say $200 for that cost. And let's say we're going to put the Happy Birthday bounce house in there, and a concession machine, and some tables and chairs. So we need 4 drop downs. Let's make it the snow cone machine. Let's not forget to tell the system how many of each. And let's go ahead and add tables and chairs in there. Let's say 4 tables and 16 chairs. In a real life scenario, I would probably put a picture of all these items set up together, but I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes, so I'm not going to bother right now. Same with description text. Of course, I would probably use the AI assistant. And then let's go ahead and put this in the bounce houses category. And let's go ahead and use that snow cone flavor required add-on to prompt people to choose a free flavor of snow cone syrup. They just get one, and we are good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and submit my changes here. And then if we go into the bounce houses category on the front end, we should see that new package item that I just created. Yep, there it is. All right, let's take a quick look at service areas. If we go to this customer information screen, and we go down to the billing address fields, we're going to see a list of cities in here that is kind of a nightmare. So we can see that the city of Los Ranchos is actually spelled 4 different ways in here, and down below the screen where you can't see it is actually a 5th spelling. And we've got things like Public Service Company, that's PNM, that's our local electrical utility. We've got Kirtland Air Force Base, we've got Sandia Base, those are military bases, they're not cities. So we need to make sure that Los Ranchos only shows up one time and that institutions don't show up in this list. Remember, these 4 fields right here are helping us collect a billing address, and for a billing address, we need a valid city. So when we take electrical utilities and military bases and stuff like that out of this list, we're not saying that we won't do business with those institutions. What we're saying is, again, we need a valid city to collect a billing address. There's a company name field right there. There's a location name field right there. There's a customer comments field right here. So there's plenty of places where if somebody from the Air Force Base, for example, wants to do business with us, they can tell us they're with the Air Force Base. So we need to clean up that list of cities. So we're going to go back into the back end to admin, order config, service areas. And then I'm going to go into spreadsheet mode because I'm going to be making mass edits. And I'm going to go ahead and check the boxes for any cities that I don't want to go to or entries that aren't really cities. So for example, once again, Kirtland Air Force Base is not a city. Los Padillas is actually a neighborhood and not a city. And then, as mentioned earlier, I only want Los Ranchos showing up one time in that list, only one spelling. So once I've narrowed that list down, then I can go ahead and click here to delete all of the checked entries. And I have a much nicer list of cities in here. And I can go back to the front end and refresh the page. And then I can go down to that list of cities. And yep, I've got a much nicer list in there for my customers. Now this is also important for me for my reporting and my accounting. Because if I have an inaccurate list of cities in my folder, then my sales by city report is going to be inaccurate. So now that our list of cities has been cleaned up, let's go ahead and establish our travel fees. Now remember, we do have a knowledge base, and there's a really detailed article about travel fees in that knowledge base. So if you click on that little help button and open up the knowledge base like I just did just now, you can do a search and find the travel fees tutorial. If you want to do city or zip code based travel fees, it's really simple. You just come here to admin, order config service areas. And once again, spreadsheet mode is the fastest way to do it. And you just establish a travel fee here in this travel fee field. So Albuquerque is my main city. I'm going to call that 25. Bernalillo is considerably farther away, so we're going with 50 on that one. Corrales is sort of medium. A little farther than Albuquerque, but not as far as Bernalillo. Los Ranchos is right close to Albuquerque, Placitas, once again, is considerably farther away. And Rio Rancho is also somewhat medium. So that's it. I've now just established my travel fees by city. And if I want to do travel fee by zip code, it's really simple. Same process. I just click into zip codes. And I'm going to reorder the page by city. Now, any entry I make here under zip codes will override anything that I establish under cities. So for example, if I want to say, well, this one zip code in Albuquerque is a little bit farther away than the other ones. So for this one zip code, I want a slightly higher travel fee. And let's say for this one as well. So that means every other zip code in Albuquerque is going to get that default $25 travel fee, but these two particular zip codes are going to get $30. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our minimum order requirements. So there is a default minimum order requirement. In my folder, I've got it set up for $200. But again, since Bernalillo is considerably farther away, I'm going to establish a higher minimum order requirement for that specific city. And I'm going to do the same thing for Placitas. And you get the idea. Now we can do the same thing with tax rate. New Mexico has one uniform tax rate for all cities, so I don't need to bother with the tax rate field in my folder. But if you have a service area wherein some cities are going to have a different tax rate from other cities, then you can establish a unique tax rate for each city in that tax rate field. Now, if you want to do travel fee by mile, there's a different setup. And once again, I encourage you to check out the travel fees article in the knowledge base for detailed instructions on how to set up travel fee by mile. And of course, you can always reach out to tech support. All right, so we've looked at travel fees and city-based minimum order requirements and city-based tax rates. Let's find our default minimum order requirement. And we're going to find that under Admin, Rules, Availability Rule Sets. And it's usually going to be under Universal Availability. So you can use this field to change the minimum amount required to check out. You can use this field to change the block message, which is the message that a customer would receive if they haven't met that minimum order threshold. And then you can use this field to determine whether it's based on total or subtotal. Now, there is a chance that your default minimum order requirement is going to be in your general availability rule set rather than universal availability. If that's the case, I encourage you to delete it from general availability and put it in universal availability. And you can do that by simply blanking out the drop-down and clicking Save. Now, the reason that you want your minimum order requirement to be in universal availability is because universal availability is going to apply to all orders across the board, whereas general availability won't apply to orders unless you choose it as an availability rule set to attach to a schedule profile or something else that affects the ordering process. Now, universal availability is also where you can close business, block off dates on your calendar. So you can see there's a closures rule, there's a closure span rule, which is the same thing, it just is for multiple days. And there are also closure rules that allow you to have overlapping orders on those days. So basically what it means is on December 1st of this year, my business is closed. I'm not doing any deliveries on that day or pickups, but I'm willing to have inventory out on that day. So I would probably do my deliveries the day before and my pickups the day after. Once again, there's a really detailed article on closures in the knowledge base, so I encourage you to consult that. Now let's take a look at our default tax rate. We're going to find that under Admin, Rules, General Rule Sets. And it's going to be under Adjustments. Now, I'm not going to get super into the weeds on rules. Just keep in mind that rules in general, the order of the rules does matter. The rules calculate from top to bottom, so if you reorder these rules, it will affect how they calculate. So with that in mind, I generally encourage people to not hesitate to reach out to tech support if you ever want to do anything involving your rule sets. Rule sets are the plumbing that governs your folder and things like pricing and availability. And it can get somewhat technical, and it's kind of a set it and forget it thing. For the most part, you're going to set those rules and they're going to work and you're not going to touch them again, maybe ever, maybe not for several years. Now that said, changing your default tax rate is really simple. You just come into adjustments here, you change that percentage, you click save, or if you're in browse mode, you click submit and bada bing. But if it's any more complicated than that, I encourage you to reach out to tech support. So let's look at our deposit rules. Those are also going to be here under admin rules, general rule sets, and they're going to be under deposit rules. So we can see here that this folder is set to the default, which is just a $50 deposit for all orders. And of course, if you want a different amount other than $50, then you would just enter that amount in here. Keep in mind, you do want that apply deposit override rule to be in here and to remain at the bottom. That's the rule that enables you to override a deposit requirement when placing an order through the back end. We can do some more fancy deposit rules. You have the ability to set a deposit that's conditional based on a category or an item. You can also set different deposit requirements based on the subtotal or the total of the order with this set deposit with range rule. And you can also have a different deposit requirement if a given order option question was answered in a certain way. So once again, there's a really detailed article in the knowledge base about deposits, so I encourage you to check that out if you want a deposit that's a little bit more fancy than the just standard set deposit too. So last but not least, let's take a look at document editing. I'm going to go back into browse mode. And I'm going to go to Admin Documents Automatic Messages. So automatic messages are the emails that get automatically sent to your customers when they place an order. And we can see that as of now, we've got 4 default messages in here. We've got the pre-rental reminder letter that's going to go out 4 days before the event, the prepay letter that's going to go out 1 day before, the survey letter that's going to go out 1 day after, and the 1-year reminder letter that's going to go out 320 days after. And we've got an incomplete order email that is designed to capture some of those abandoned cart orders where people went to your website, started booking an order, gave you contact information, but never finished booking the order. So let's go ahead and click into one of these and learn a little bit more about how these messages work. So we can see the subject line right here, and we've got what we call merge fields that are going to put in the logo and the customer's first name and their order number. And you can see up here above the content of the email, we have what we call WYSIWYG controls. So that stands for what you see is what you get. And it basically just means word processing controls like Microsoft Word or Google Docs. So you can use these controls to do things like change the font or the size or the color or to add links or pictures. We can do all kinds of fancy stuff with these controls. Now, if you are comfortable working in HTML, you can actually edit the HTML itself by clicking on Source to edit the source code. And then you can click it again to go back into the WYSIWYG view. So feel free to edit the text of any of these documents as you see fit. Make sure there's a from address in this from field here. Typically, that company receipt email merge field is what we use in there. Days to send is where you're going to put how many days before or after or on the day of the event you want it to send. So a negative number is going to be before, 0 is going to be on the day of the event, and a positive number is going to be after. Now we can get more granular control over when the message is sent using the send option field. So for example, if it is a multi-day order and we want to time the sending of the order based on the ending date of the order rather than the beginning date, then we could choose before order ends or after order ends. The send option field is not required. If you leave the send option field blank, it's just going to send however many days before or on the day of or however many days after you put in that days to send field. Now you can attach availability rule sets to a message if you don't want it automatically going out to every active order. The send only to field allows you to have this message only send to certain email addresses. So if you have repeat customers and you only want this email going out to them, you can put their addresses in there. Send BCC to will send it as a BCC to you or whatever other email address you put in there. Just be careful with that one because most of these emails are kind of mundane and you kind of don't want to clutter up your inbox with them. For the most part, there's no reason that you should receive most of these emails. And then for most of these emails, you want to leave them set to use the active only filter. Active and canceled will send to customers who have an active order with you or if they have a canceled order. And active only will only send if they have an active order. Now, as far as that incomplete filter, there's an email in your automatic messages that is using that incomplete filter, and that should be the only one that uses it, because any message that has that incomplete filter is going to send to customers who have an abandoned cart, and you don't want to send them multiple emails. So feel free to edit these messages as you see fit. You can even get rid of some of them if you want. You can add new ones. You can do whatever you want with these automatic messages. Now, the only automatic email that is sent to your customers based on orders that is not included in the automatic messages is going to be their receipt. So let's look at the receipt and a few other documents that we should edit, and those are going to be under Admin, Documents, General Documents. So when you receive an emailed receipt from test orders that you place, you're going to see at the top a bunch of contact information, and then at the bottom there's going to be some more information for your customers. The stuff at the top comes from a different area, and it's the stuff down at the bottom that you want to take a look at and customize to your liking, and that's going to be here under Receipt Bottom. So you'll recognize this text, and again, feel free to use those WYSIWYG controllers or the source code to edit this text. The one thing you want to make sure to leave in here is this right up here. That Manage Event Link merge field is what gives a unique link that includes their order information that they can click on to pay their remaining balance. And by the way, there is a knowledge base article on merge fields. Now, the other documents that you're probably going to want to edit are going to be the contract and quote documents. So once again, in the receipt emails that you receive when you place your test orders, you'll see a link to read and sign the contract. Once again, at the top of the contract is their order information, their contact information, and all that stuff. It's the stuff below that that you want to make sure to edit. That's all the legalese, and you're going to find that under Contract Page 1 and Contract Page 2. So please feel free to edit these documents. Now, specifically with respect to Contract Page 2, just make sure that at the bottom of the document, you leave all of these merge fields in place. These merge fields are what enable your customers to sign the document. They can sign it on any device, a phone, a tablet, a desktop, a laptop, but those merge fields need to be in there in order for this to be a signable document. And by the way, you can use our free mobile driver app to pull up the contract at the event for any customer who hasn't signed their contract ahead of their event. So I encourage you to look for our driver app tutorial in the knowledge base for instructions on how to do that. So feel free to edit the Contract Page 1 and Contract Page 2 documents. And last but not least, I encourage you to edit the Quote and Quick Quote documents. Now, you know about Quick Quote from the ERS Basics training. The Quick Quote and Quote documents, most people want them to be the same. So if you edit one, you're welcome to just copy all of the text from it and paste it into the other. We do have some customers who have requested that the Quick Quote be a different document from the Quote document, so that's why there are two of them in here. Now, you are also welcome to edit the invoice document. I wouldn't bother with the waiver. The waiver is an FEC specific thing. That's Family Entertainment Center. It's for site-based places where you have a brick and mortar location that people go in to play. The legal document that party rental customers use is the contract, so don't worry about the waiver document. So let's take a quick look at our incomplete order settings, and that will wrap this training. So we're going to find those under Admin, Order Config, Miscellaneous Order Settings. And I am going to do a Command F to search for the word incomplete. Now, Command F on a Mac or Control F on a PC is a super useful little trick. It's actually not specific to the ERS system. You can use it on any web page or in any computer program, and it just enables you to find text on a page. So the setting that we're looking for our incomplete order alert emails is the Send Incomplete Order Alert To setting. And typically that setting company email merge field is what we use here. All right, so the other incomplete order setting is going to be the minutes to send incomplete order alert. So that's how many minutes the system is going to wait after they've entered in contact information to send them that incomplete order alert. You can see it's set to 20 minutes by default, but you can edit that here. So that minutes to send incomplete order alert setting, along with the Send Incomplete Order Alert To setting, both of those fields need to be filled out, and you have to have that Incomplete Order Alert email in place with the number 0 in the Days to Send field in order for those alerts to send out. Now, Incomplete Order Alerts are a Pro Plus and above feature. and they will only send out on your actual domain. So, jumpyjumps.com or whatever your actual company website domain is, not your folder name.our.ers.com. They won't actually send out through that version of the front end. They only send out through the domain version. So that about covers everything here. I hope this was helpful. As always, the number one piece of advice I can give you is to reach out to tech support early and often. You've got a lot of tools here that you can use to refine your ERS folder and start to take orders and make more money. And any questions that you have about anything, tech support can answer for you and make your life easier. So feel free to reach them at 505-435-9731, option 1, or support@eventrentalsystems.com, or using the little chat bubble down here in the bottom right-hand corner. Join us in the ERS users group on Facebook. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our ERS YouTube channel by clicking on the logo in the bottom right-hand corner of this video. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.